Yeah, thank you very much. Hello everybody. So my name is Sougata Bhattacharya. I'm from India, and today it's an honor and pleasure to be here among you and share a few insights and thoughts on the subjects of AI in data marketing and web analytics. And so basically, I'll be speaking about various aspects of data marketing. So we'll see along the slides. And so I'll be taking questions at the end of the presentation. And so feel free to write them down and wait until I finish. All right. Thank you very much. So now, I started getting interested in the subject of data and marketing and advertising and so on during my time at my MBA when I wrote a professional thesis called Data Optimization and Acceleration in Marketing and Advertising. So basically, I'm currently in the process of upgrading and enriching my document. And so if you're interested in having a look or reading my thesis, please reach out to me via mail and I'll be glad to share it with you. And also, I'm actually looking for a publisher. If anyone knows any publishing houses, I'd be glad to have a talk with them on the subject. So in today's presentation, I'll be basically dividing my talk into three or four parts, basically. So the first, we start with the customers, because without customers, we won't be having this conversation in marketing and advertising. And so we'll start with the customer moments and data flows. Then we'll talk a bit about the MarTech space, MarTech AI trends and tools. We'll talk a bit about composability. It's one of the new buzzwords. In fact, over the last 2 or 3 years, I think we're talking about composability a lot. A bit about data engineering. We'll geek out a bit in one of the slides. Then we'll move to some of the data-related tools, such as CRMs and CDPs. We'll talk a bit about automation platforms, marketing automation platforms, and AI. And then in the end, we'll talk about web analytics and AI, right? So this is how I have divided my talk for today. Right, so let's dive in. So first of all, we're going to talk about customers, because I think that this customers is basically the North Star, in fact, of everything related to data in organizations and companies. And so we'll have to basically follow and understand and analyze customer trends and customer behaviors and how things evolve over time, how our ways of buying things and purchasing and consuming products are evolving. And technology have to adapt to that, I think, especially when we're talking about data marketing, of course. So now, how are we, changing as customers, So, customer behavior today. So we could say that we are more and more multimodal. So basically, if you're using a telephone and you're using a voice, or using videos to buy and sell, or you're using, I don't know, e-commerce systems and so on. So we are getting into multimodal kind of, say, in a customer attitude. And of course, we are much more connected than previous years. So we are connected across devices, using your cell phone, your smartphones and tablets and whatnot. Greater engagements. So customers are much more engaged than previous times now with their devices, and meaning that greater engagements, meaning more touch points and a bigger amount of data, of course. And also, I guess, with all this choice that we have in front of us today as a buyer, we also have high expectations. As a customer today, I know that there's AI around, so I expect companies to know how to target and how to recommend products and things which are personalized to my taste and know when to talk to me, of course, as a customer. So we are having higher and higher expectations. And naturally, when you think about what's going on in the world today with aspects of ecology and inflation and job cuts and so on. So we, as customers, we probably support more sustainability. So meaning that we are changing our phones and devices less often. So we are using them for longer periods of time. So these are the things that have changed over the years, and we'll have to take those into account when we think about data marketing, of course. That takes us to the customer moments, So now we are thinking about moments. So we're not thinking about a customer static kind of a journey anymore. We're thinking about capturing moments in a customer life cycle or a customer journey, in fact. So things have to be in the moment. They have to be immediate, relevant, and real-time experiences, of course. So this notion of customer moments is generating a lot more data than before. And so we'll have to take this aspect into account as well. So this is a new word, in fact, that I'm hearing more and more often in marketing spaces. So customer moments. Okay. Now let's look a bit into the data and the tech side of things. In fact, how do we interpret these customer buying, purchase habits and so on into data? So as you can see that, our source of truth, I'd say, are basically event logs, in fact, for websites or let's say applications and so on. So event logs are probably the most reliable and, sources of truth that you can really depend on. And so it's like a single source of truth, you could say. And also we have this, like I was talking about customer moments and, events. People in web analytics are probably, they know the word events, of course. So we are now talking about data atoms. I don't know if you have heard the word data atoms previously. So data atoms are the smallest unit of customer information. They're like small events and everything that you do on a website or on your application. So small movements or your page visits or click somewhere or put something in a purchasing cart and so on. So they could be divided into small atoms of events. Now these atoms go on to model the data, of course. So we are modeling the profiles, and so we are using a new term nowadays, increasingly called transitional modeling. Now, transitional modeling is, as opposed to static modeling, is something that tries to capture changes and transitions, in fact, from one point to another. So, they are modeled using data atoms, tries to capture changes over time. And, the changes can be implemented in this model by adding atoms. And so you are just using the same kind of model, but we are just adding or subtracting atoms to show the changes over time, right? And now increasingly we're talking about activity schemas. So it's like customer interaction graphs. So they are flexible and temporal, has contextual information, and it's basically these schemas are like an event sequence that actually makes up a journey path for on all of these aspects. They go on to make up what we call the customer journey and customer journey mapping. And since we have the access to events and data atoms, we could easily interpret them like a live stream. So now we could say that we are tracking customer journey and we are mapping them in a live stream way. So this is how I see evolution of customer behavior and the shopping methods. In fact, how do I interpret that into data? It's probably in this way. All right. Now let's look at the MarTech space and let's see what's going on with data and AI in the MarTech space. And probably marketers here probably are familiar with this website, which is called Martech Chief Martech, sorry. And so they make this kind of a map, and they try to sort and classify all types of technologies that are currently being used in this space, market space. Well, as you can see here in this slide, you can see hundreds of little dots, in fact, and each of these dots, they represent a technology. As you can see, I can't make any heads or tails out of this, in fact, which is because now the space has become highly fragmented. So as you can see, they have listed around 14,106 tech products, in fact. And naturally, all these tech products, they'll be using data, and they have AI infused in these tech products and so on. But now, what are we seeing, in fact? So we've seen this exponential growth in tech products, so which has come to 14,000 plus. So how do you learn all these items? How do you know how they are different from one another? How to gain and make value from these systems? It's not an easy task at all. If you're a marketer, you'd probably be drowned and be saturated with so many products. And of course, today's tools are probably tomorrow's legacy, as we say. And so there's a new trend, I'd say, which is called stack rationalization, meaning people are shutting down tools that don't really provide sufficient ROIs, return on investments. And they're trying to eliminate tools, that have duplicate features and services. So if you have 2 or 3 tools that do the same thing, in fact, there's basically no point in keeping all of them. So this is probably going to happen more and more. In fact, so there's going to be some kind of rationalization and due to this space that is completely fragmented. We'll be talking about composable technology later on, so which is also another trend that we are seeing. And so so let's dive a bit more, in fact. So now, what's the role of the GPTs, MarTech GPTs, in this MarTech space? Now, if you look at the AI trends in the MarTech space, you see we are using AI tools more and more for content marketing, which is at the top of this graph over here. So you'll find this excellent information in the Chief MarTech website. So content marketing is being performed more and more, and it's more and more with AI tools nowadays, in fact. So that is at the top of the list. Then you have social media marketing, monitoring, SEOs, collaboration, product management, and so on. So you can see how we are using AI tools in marketing. Now, AI is infused throughout MarTech, like I was saying before. And so we have listed about 3,135 marketing-specific GPTs from OpenAI. You see, that's a lot, in fact. So if you go through all those tools, I think you'll have a lot of things to learn. Now, what's important nowadays is when you have all these tools, you need APIs, of course, for agents and co-pilots. So availability of APIs and good quality APIs that you'll be able to maintain over time is of utmost importance. Then, of course, now to feed all the AI models, you need a data layer. So the data layer has to be robust and it has to be well-functioning data layers. So think about data layers, think about APIs. And also, AI is also impacting the composability aspect in technologies that we are going to see in the next slide, in fact, basically. And so these are the few trends that we've picked up, in fact, these current days, and this is how I wanted to analyze the situation. So now let's think about composability of data and AI. Now, composability is like when you're mixing and matching features and services in tools. So you're not using all of the features of one single tool, but you're trying to mix and match different tools, in fact, that to fit your purpose and fit your end objective, of course. So that is the idea of composing your tools with different features from different sources. And so here's an excellent graph, a chart where you can see the spectrum of the tools. So, if you look at the two axes, so you see, horizontally, you've got the technical and the non-technical sides of tools. So on both sides of the horizontal spectrum, you have on the left, you see the technical sides, and the right, you have the non-technical aspects of tools. And on the vertical axis, you see services and data. And so you can compose your tools, in fact, according to this chart and graph. And if you look where our tools of interest in this presentation, like CDPs and CRM, you can see them, they sit in the middle of the spectrum, meaning they're somewhere in between data-related features and service-related features, and they are somewhat between technical and non-technical things. So this is, I'd say this is a sweet spot in this spectrum. Now, adding AI to these tools, in fact, that use data and services and so on, is only helping with them accessible to people who are non-technical. As you can see in this spectrum, you see there's a shift from left to right. So the tools which were considered very technical are becoming more accessible to non-technical users. So meaning the business lines, in fact, and people who work with the businesses, they'd be able to handle and manage tools which were previously considered very technical. Of course, this is not going to be the case with the cloud data warehouse like Snowflake and all, but I think CDPs and CRM are going to be much more accessible than before. So now let's see. So like I was saying, in this chart, you see that CDP, CRMs, they are in the center. So this is probably the space which is which is going to be much more accessible than before. Now, let's move on to another very important aspect, which is gaining more and more traction nowadays in the data engineering sphere. So this is a bit more geeky than my previous slides, of course, but this is one of the aspects to watch out for the future. So we have the new thing, which is called, Apache Iceberg, which is being integrated with different databases and data warehouses, cloud data warehouse, and so on. So you can see Apache Iceberg coming in. I think, well, it started a few years ago, of course, it's not exactly new technology, but it's gaining more and more importance because the sheer volume of data is increasing, and you need more flexibility, with AI and machine learning and so on. And also, this allows people not to duplicate data sets across different systems. So you're using a single open source table format data set, which is being just used with pointers by different systems. So let's say, for example, CRM like Salesforce is probably going to be connected with Snowflake, which leverages Apache Iceberg, in fact, for their operations. Now, this allows for more flexibility, improved efficiency, of course, and we have a new buzzword, in fact, which is called zero copy and zero ETL data stacks. So you're not using pipelines here, in fact, so it's using aspects such as pointers. And so it's much easier to maintain, so you don't have broken pipelines and so on. And you're having an open source table format, that fits, that could be, easily modifiable. And we're separating data storage and compute, which improves efficiency. And also, there's the other aspect of change data capture. So every time you make changes to a data set, and also these changes are logged, these events, they can be then listed and streamed directly to your Apache Iceberg tables, right? So these are the new things. So you need to dig in a bit more with different sources, and if you're learning about these things, and if you are more in the business lines than the tech lines, then this probably be of interest. Now, you'll probably notice in this slide, I've used the word crack. What's the crack? It's an Irish word, in fact, meaning what's the latest, what's the buzz, in fact. Okay, so you see, this is Apache Iceberg. I was quite interested and intrigued with this new technology, and I'm trying to learn more and more about this. Now, moving on to the data challenges, these are classical challenges that have persisted over time, and I'd say that so we have issues with data velocity, meaning real time. So how quick is real time? In fact, what 20 milliseconds and 30, 40 milliseconds. And so real time, continues to pose questions, and we always need to make things faster. Faster interactions, faster recommendations. Chatbots should pop up faster when I reach my pain point on the website and so on. So how fast is fast, of course? So that is one question to ask. Then we have the story of data quality, of course. So this is a major issue, and people are struggling to have improved quality. Data silos and walls, and so data in walls. Data governance is increasingly being implemented by organizations, and which is good, of course, but naturally you'll have to find some way out to get the operations done. Then you have the customer privacy concerns. So you can't have PII, personally identifiable data, that is floating in the internet space and so on. And of course, people are much more aware of AIs and so on. So you can expect more opt-outs, with decline cookies. Then you'll probably have ad blocks, and you also have data sharing restrictions. So, so these bottlenecks continue to persist and exist. You'll have to find ways to solve these issues. Now, so this is all about data. This takes us to the next slide, which is about LLMs. Now, if you're using, OpenAI, big size LLMs, so they are, I call them generic LLMs, and they are pretty probabilistic. And the problem with using these big size LLMs is that they lack domain specific knowledge, and they would oftentimes hallucinate. So you ask a very specific question, it won't be able to answer you right away, and probably the answer would be approximative, and it's probabilistic. So it's not really the best way to go if you want something very domain specific, right? Then you can't be using proprietary and confidential customer data with these generic LLMs. It poses privacy risks. But on the other hand, if you want to make your own custom models, they're hard to maintain and will get outdated as data evolves and grows, because you'll have to grow your LLM, so it inducts a lot of cost. So building and maintaining customer models are costly. And now we have the AI Act, so you need to do your AI assessments and see what are the risk factors of your systems. So these are the new challenges in the domain of AI and using AI in digital marketing, I'd say. Now let's look at more specific tools used by data marketing, like Marketing Map is marketing automation platforms, CRMs, client relation management, and CDP, customer data platforms. So these are very specific tools, and I'd say these are the key tools and the key aspects in data marketing for me. Now let's look at maps and AI, so automation platforms. So you could, I have cited a few brand names. You could go through these brand names and see what new innovation and what new features they have to offer. So you have marketing automation platforms such as Braze AI. You got HubSpot that came up with Breeze AI. You have Marketo. They have Marketo Engage, Salesforce Marketing Cloud, Einstein Copilot, and so on. So AI allows for engagement with customers with personalized content at scale, meaning they can now segment customers and they can personalize the content at a huge amount. So send emails, chats, and start interactive webinars. Then you have a lot of AI-powered cross-channel contacts, which can be made nowadays. And you have improved measurements, insights, and visualization of marketing performances. So yeah, when you have a better insight, better segmentation, you know how to segment customer by their behaviors and how they purchase and so on, then you can use these marketing automation operations to make product recommendations or find the next best product, or it can just be more proactive than before. So this is one of the results of using AI in these systems. So I'd recommend you go and take a look more closely at these products, in fact, and these technologies, HubSpot and Salesforce and so on. Now, let's dive into the world of CRMs and AI. Now, CRMs, the biggest and the best probably is Salesforce. It's a debatable question, but I'd say that they are probably at the forefront of AI technologies when it comes to CRMs. Now, they're using their LLMs as reasoning engines. So the LLMs are able to reason, and they can plan, in fact. So that's the main thing. It's not just about generating content and making images and writing text, but you can use them as reasoning engines. So we can have data, you can use these AI systems, and especially the AI agent, that can retrieve data, they can refine the data, they can plan an action, evaluate the risks and so on, and then they can act. So for that, you need the right data, the right prompts, and the right agents, of course. If you have this combination, and if you can do it at the right time, then you'll get very good results. So now you can write prompts within these CRM systems. If you need to activate the AI agents, then you have these features which helps you to write your prompts, prompt builders. So if you were planning a career in prompt engineering, you'd probably think otherwise. Okay, then you have pre-built and custom context-aware AI agents, of course. So AI agents are going to be everywhere, and so sometimes they are pre-built. I think HubSpot also has a marketplace for AI agents. So you can be pre-built, or you can make them by yourself, custom AI agents. And the most important, factor is probably grounding and RAG. So you need to have, AI agents that are trustworthy. And so they need to be grounded. They need to be, they used to use data, and they have to verify the data from outside sources, and so they should be able to retrieve data from elsewhere and then activate those data and so on. Then you have the question of trust layers and guardrails. So you're talking probably about customer data, which could be sensitive. So you need to have an assessment of how sensitive your data is in your systems. But Salesforce puts a lot of accent and importance to the trust layers and the guardrails that they have in the systems. So that is what we're going to look at in the next slide. Now, they have this thing in Salesforce CRM, which is called the Einstein GPT trust layer. As you can see in this diagram, so you have the prompts. When you write a prompt, you want to do something with an AI agent. So they will probably they'd look up the company data, and then they'll do some dynamic grounding. They'll check if the data is good quality, if the wrong answer is going to be precise and accurate. Then they'll do some amount of data masking. That means, within your prompt, if you had, put in some personally identifiable information, and also they will probably do some masking. Then it will be processed by the LLMs. Of course, I guess they'll be using, probably GPTs and so on. And then they'll do some toxicity detection, audit trail, and so on before providing the final answer and the response to your queries and your prompts. So they have this trust layer, which is increasingly important, especially now that we have the AI Act. So all your system has to be compliant, and so you got to reduce the risks as much as possible, in fact. So this is one interesting feature that we have seen, in fact, in Salesforce. Now let's come to the CDP system. Now CDPs are data platforms that go to enrich. They collect data from different touch points, and then they go to enrich your your actions and your, how do you say, the customer. They provide a unified data to create a customer 360-degree view, right? Then, so they will examine the input data and maps them to the CDP data model, extract features from semi-structured and unstructured data sources. And so this is an interesting platform. But now with the data, let's say the cloud platforms and so on, so there are several systems that are doing the same things as our CDPs. So the notion of composable CDPs are more and more in vogue, in fact. So composable CDPs fits in with existing data cloud platforms, enable marketers to flexibly mix and match different ways data is collected, modeled, and stored, right? And of course, AI is helping the CDPs create more personalized content for customers, improve segmentations and predictions, example, finding the next best offer, and so on. So the CDPs are undergoing a major change, in fact, nowadays. So you'll have to watch out this space as well. And well, okay, now that takes us to the AI-driven customer journeys, in fact. So AI journey orchestration. So you have to predict the next best action for individual customers at each touch point. Send emails, offers, re-engagement messages on time to people in their customer journey. Then AI-driven attribution modeling. I think this has improved much more, in fact, where who the customer is. It's more adaptive and accurate nowadays. So auto journey mappings, they provide real-time analytics, assistant chatbots, voice assistants, and dynamic pricings, and so on. So AI is helping customer journey, and they are able to activate several things by this analysis of customer journeys nowadays. Now, let's talk a bit about web analytics and AI. So I'd say Ronan is probably one of the great talents in Matomo, and he has excellent videos that you can follow and learn more about how AI can be implemented with Mistral AI. So I have greatly benefited from videos that was uploaded by Ronan, of course, so thanks to him. So I'd say the web analytics, in fact, nowadays you have proactive insights. So previously you could record data and then sit and then analyze the data and take some actions. But today, in fact, so AI is probably helping people to be more proactive. And it's helping with better segmentations, anomaly detection. I've noticed a bot and malicious traffic, and they can detect AI traffic nowadays better, in fact, these analytic systems. Then, of course, you have code assistance. This would improve customized tracking, I'd say. So I was speaking with someone the other day, and the person said to me that how is AI going to improve web analytics? I said that now people can make their custom trackings much better and much more easily than before. Meaning that whenever you have a problem, you go and ask some ChatGPT or someone, and they will probably help you with your implementing and putting in place your trackings. And of course, we are seeing progressively, we're seeing third-party plugins that come into the market. If you look at GA4, now they have a competitive edge because they have direct access to the Gemini, Gemini models, and they also have the Vertex AI. So GA4, so we are seeing GA4 and Vertex AI integrations, which are creating predictive models. Then there's the word that I hear more and more nowadays is propensity modeling. So GA4 has a propensity modeling, and they can predict actions that a user might take in the future. And they're using Vertex AI pipelines, in fact, to do this modeling. And they use GA4 data that is probably put in BigQuery. And of course, Matomo plugins have seen Mistral AI and ChatGPT in their plugin marketplace. And of course, there was Content Square, the other analytics company, which uses AI Copilot assistants. So these are the new things that I have noticed in the web analytics space. Now let's look towards the small plugins and the third-party third-party technologies that are coming into the space. So you can see Avian, LLM data integration. So you can connect your GA4 to ChatGPT with the help of Avian, of course. So you're probably experts in this space, Matomo space. They probably are familiar with these tools. So I found Advisor, for LLM data integration, GA4 to ChatGPT. There's another company called Monster Insights. So it's like a Google Analytics plugin for WordPress, and they are using a thing called the Conversations AI. So this is another tool to watch out for. Then you have Finally, they have Chat Copilot with GA4s, and they're giving easy access to reports. Now, while talking to organizations, what they said is that really, in fact, what could help is to have easy access to the reports via chats. So you don't really have to look around, which button to click, in fact, where to find that report and this report. We should be able to do this with a chatbot, and we just ask a question and get the answer. So this probably is going to be the next innovation, in fact, in this space. So these are the few things I found on web analytics. And so before we end, in fact, I'll probably give a few future directions and recommendations. So I'd say that what's important nowadays for organization is to make, to have unique data and to go towards data differentiations. So the 3 recommendations that I have. So organizations should prioritize collecting, curating, refining unique data that is exclusively owned and sourced by them. Because if you're using the general purpose LLMs, you'll find the same answers. But for your organization, you need a tailor-made responses and tailor-made, say, AI agents and so on. So you need to use different data, which is unique to your organization. Now, this differentiation creates a competitive advantage as proprietary data assets enable the development of AI models that provide insights and personalization options that competitors cannot replicate. So this is important, data differentiation. Now, of course, with the AI Act, I'd suggest, you got to work on your risk assessment aspect. So organizations should ensure that AI does not perpetuate biases, misuse data, or introduce security vulnerabilities. Developing clear AI ethics guidelines and implementing model explainability tools like SHAP or LIME help business ensure accountability and transparency. So probably want to look at open source LLMs and do risk management. In fact, so this is important. And third is real-time adaptive, of course. AI will likely automate adaptive marketing strategies based on real-time performances, allowing marketers to quickly respond to shifting trends and consumer behavior. So this is probably going to be an interesting feature to watch out for. Hyper-personalized and predictive content. So these are the 3 recommendations that I have for organizations and companies who are following my presentation today. Well, so I guess I've come to 38 minutes. So I probably want to thank you all for attending. So if you have any further discussions or exchanges, you could please feel free to reach out via my email. So which is, I've written it here. Also, please feel free to connect via LinkedIn. In fact, if you want to have, greater in-depth exchanges, and if you wish to have some consulting services, of course. Well, thank you very much. And
thank you.
If you have any questions, I'm free.
Thank you so much, Sougata, for your presentation. So I asked in the chat if there is any question, and actually there is not, but maybe in a few seconds. But thank you for your clear talk and very interesting. For anyone here, a replay will be available in a few weeks, I guess, or maybe within a month. So you can rewatch this talk whenever it will be ready.
Right.
Actually, there is no question. So thank you so much.
Okay.
I think that you will stay on the event for the day. So maybe somebody can go can go to you in the work adventure place if you will be
Sure. Yeah.
staying near the stage or maybe somewhere in the place. Thank you so much. And
Yeah. Sure.
next
Thank you very much.
for
I
the next
appreciate it.
conference, we will
Yeah. Bye. Have a
thank
nice
you.
day. Right?
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. For the next conference, we will wait for Carmen Sayoni at 11, who will will make a talk about how to sell Matomo for agencies and be efficient. Thank you so much.